Before we start our conversation, I am going to formally introduce Genesis, Genesis, Kinohi. She has many names, as well as Nicole Woo. So I wanted to have this conversation today and invite my daughter because, one, I feel like the teen years, like I said earlier, have a bad rap. And there's just this automatic narrative that, oh, you better watch out for the teen years. They're not going to want to hang out with you anymore. They're not going to want to talk to you anymore. And from her birth, I have rejected that narrative because I think it's a disservice to all of us. I think it's a disservice to our youth. And I know where I was at when I was her age. So when I was 15 years old, I was in Chicago, just roaming the streets because nobody was home. So I would get home from school, no one's there. So I was just literally walking for hours through Chicago, downtown, everywhere. Because again, no one was home. So it was a very lonely time. It was a time where there wasn't a lot of guidance, and a lot of trauma happened during that time. And I got brought into a cult at that time because I was really in need of guidance. I was really in need of family and home, and I couldn't find it at home. And so I ended up in a church that ultimately was a cult. I didn't know, but that's what it was. So when I think about her at 15, I'm like, I needed guidance. I needed somebody to hug me. I needed somebody to hold me. I needed someone to ask me how I was doing, even if I had a little bit of an attitude. Right? But isolation and being with just a bunch of people my age was actually not what I needed. So I've refused to accept this narrative that automatically teens want to be apart from you, because I experienced the exact opposite. I needed closeness and I didn't get it. So for me, I really wanted to raise my kids differently, and I feel like I have raised them differently, and I've raised her to be different. And so I wanted to be able to have this conversation because part of changing the narrative and shifting the narrative around what it means to be a mother is sharing alternative stories, right? Sharing different perspectives. And we just don't talk enough about it. We don't make it public what we're doing in our homes to raise our children. And we're not asking the questions that we need to ask. So that's why this platform exists. That's why this event exists, so that we can publicly shift the narrative by sharing alternative ways of being, alternative ways of operating. And I felt like it was important that not only my voice be heard around what it's like to raise a teen in an alternative way, but also to hear her perspective. So I'm going to read an introduction that I wrote for her, as well as Nicole, and then we're going to get into the conversation. Okay? Okay? Are y'all ready for the conversation? Are you excited? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We live today. Yeah. Okay. Genesis, also known as Genesis, and Kinohi, is one of the most self-assured people I know. From the time she was just a little one, she's always been clear about what she does and does not want to do. She's also an incredible manifester of her visions and goals. She's one of the most determined and hardworking young people I have ever met. I'm honored to call Hens my firstborn and my only daughter. Almost 16 years ago now, she changed my life. Her being born activated another level of my fire that set me on a more determined path. I love Hens because she keeps me honest and never shies away from telling it like it is. Together, we have committed to a path of love, honesty, and communication. Her wisdom and deep knowing has guided and grounded me more times than I can count. Hens, I invited you today to have this conversation publicly because I'm proud of you and all that you have worked through in your life so far. You have done some deep work on yourself to be where you are now, and I want folks to see what's possible when we commit to our own healing, and what's possible for young people when they're empowered to be true to themselves and become emotionally aware. I'm also proud of us. It's not been an easy or straight road for us, but our perseverance to get to this point is incredible. I love you and so excited to share the stage with you today. Do you need to check the camera? What happened, Novello? You good? Okay, good. And now I'm going to introduce Nicole, and then we can get into the conversation. Nicole Woo. Hey. Is an artist, dancer, mother, dreamer, creative, and such a devoted friend with an insatiable appetite for learning. Her commitment to her own growth and evolution is one of the things I love most about her. She's always challenging the status quo and reimagining and reframing life's changes, situations, and circumstances in a way that empowers her. I most admire her ability to flow between various worlds, building deep and lasting friendships along the way. It's inspiring. She's a storyteller. She emanates joy with a smile that lights any room. And she's still Brooklyn through and through. I've had the privilege of not only building a loving friendship with Nicole, but to also work deeply with her to uncover the depths of the ocean that resides within her. Nicole, I'm so honored to call you my friend and fellow Wild Mama. You show up so hard for me, and at times I don't even know how to receive it. I love how introspective and curious you are, and am thrilled to have you here to co-host and facilitate this beautiful conversation between Hens and I. Thank you for always keeping it real, witnessing me always, and being so devoted to your own becoming. I love you, I trust you, and I'm really grateful to have you in my life. All my love. Hey. All right. So again, I wanted to have this conversation with Hens, right? So I'm going to ask her a few questions, and then I'm going to invite Nicole to ask us some questions. So let me get my questions here. So Hens, how is it that at 15 years old, right, people who know you know you're hardworking, you're emotionally aware, you're very grounded. How is it that at 15 years old, you don't got no bad attitude, you're close with your parents, like you communicate well? What do you think has helped you get to this point from your perspective?
Oh, wow. Well, I guess it was mostly because of how you raised me. And I get my stubborn part of myself from you, and that's a good thing. It's not like the bad stubborn, but like I feel like you didn't let me ever be disconnected. Like, yeah, like you always like. It's hard. Okay. It's kind of hard to explain, but like you, whenever I was like having like kind of like an attitude, you would immediately kind of look
like
for
address it?
Yeah, you would address it, and you wouldn't let it go on for more than an hour. So I feel like that kind of really helped me
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Gosh, I don't know how to explain myself.
It's okay.
I'm
it's
nervous.
Okay. This is your first time doing this. It is okay. You're in a safe place. Don't worry. Everyone, raise your hand if you want to hear her perspective. Hey. Everybody wants to hear your voice. I get nervous too. Yes. Can you turn up the mic? Yes, I can turn up the mics. Here, can you test this one while I turn it up?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Showtime. Showtime. La 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 la. Test, test,
Hello,
test.
hello, hello. Can you can hear? Oh, a little bit higher?
Hello, hello.
Hello, 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 hello.
No.
Oh, higher?
Hello,
Okay.
hello.
Higher.
Hello.
Hello. Is that good? Okay.
Okay, 1 second. Let me take a pause. Where's all my older keiki? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Keiki, why are you here today? Right, to support the mamas. So all my older keiki, are you sitting next to a younger keiki to help out with the younger keiki? So my keiki who are back there hanging out, I need you to come into the outer circle. I need you to come sit in the outer circle because you have a role today. And your role is to support the mothers that are here in the center circle. Okay, so if you see little ones running around and needing help finding something to color with, I want you to go ahead and do that. Okay, this is an intergenerational space for a reason. Okay, I need you to be in the circle. And I need you to listen, and I need you to hold space for our mothers, okay? You have a job to do today. It's very important, all right? So you can eat your food in the outer circle, but we're not going to be kicking it on the outside, okay? We're here to hold space for the mothers. And I need all my older keiki to find a little keiki and support them, okay? If you feel like they need support, go get them some crayons in the back and help them color, okay? That's your job today, okay? Y'all get it? Raise your hand if you can hear me. Hey. All right, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. It's just very important. This intergenerational space is intentional. Right, so we don't have enough of our elders in the same room that we have us in the same room that we have our young keiki in. Okay, so this is a very important and intentional space that we're creating, and so all keiki need to learn how to sit in the circle so that they can hear and they can learn how to respect our elders. They can learn how to listen and have conversation, be a part of it. Right? We can't expect them to know those things. We can't expect them to become emotionally aware if they're not asked and held to a standard where they have to learn how to listen, right? Where they can listen and hold space for our mothers. Okay? So unless we teach them, they're never going to learn. So this is a great place to start learning. Okay? So thank you, Keiki. Lotus, can you hear me? What's your job right now? Yeah, thank you. So find a keiki and support. Okay. So hands. So you were talking, here, let me give you this. Oh. So you were talking, can you hear this? Okay. So you were talking about where you are at 15 and how you got to this point. So how do you feel like I helped you? Because you were saying that you learned it from me and that I wouldn't let an attitude kind of go longer than like an hour. So what would I do to help you kind of come out of that space?
Well, we would have very long conversations. So that kind of like taught me how to like be present in a situation and learn how to like be okay with conflict and how I can improve myself. And you asked me a lot of like questions. Like I'm not good with like very like broad like questions. I need like specific questions to like kind of lead up to the actual problem. So that's how I work, and I feel like that's, you kind of learned how to like make me communicate with you in a clear way.
And did you feel uncomfortable with that, or like is it something that you just got used to? Like what if you didn't feel like having a conversation with me?
Well, we've been having conversations since I was like very little. Like if I got in a timeout, she would ask me like, oh, why were you in timeout? So like I always had to kind of reflect on why we were having certain conversations. And if I didn't want to have a conversation, I feel like it's okay to like tell you that, because eventually we're gonna have the conversation, just not now.
Yeah.
So
you felt like I would respect your need to have like space Although I'll be honest, sometimes it's hard when I want to talk right now and she don't want to talk. But like I said earlier in the introduction, she's someone who knows exactly what she does and does not want to do. And so I've had to learn as her mother how to respect her own boundaries and how to respect like her own knowing of what she can and cannot handle, but not sort of let it off the hook either. It's like more of like a both and. Like you can be in this moment and take a little bit of space that you need, and we're still going to talk later. So always centering the conversation and the need to be in conversation, but not, sort of imposing myself. But that is a learned behavior from me. That was not a natural thing that I would do, because when she was little, I did not know. I didn't know. So I would just sort of push what I wanted and try to get her to do what I wanted her to do. And I eventually had to learn that I have to decide what are the most important things that I actually care about, because if I focus on all the things and want her to do all the things, then, we're just going to be bickering and fighting all the time. So eventually I had to learn, like, what are the things that I feel like I can actually be consistent with for years and years and years that I actually care about, and then what else can I just kind of let go. So I eventually had to learn, where am I willing to kind of push and not give up, and where am I allowing, just her space to be her. Like, I know now not to fight about what she wants to wear. Like, when she was little, I was like, oh, no, you got to wear this dress. It's so cute. Or you got to wear that. She's like, no. And then we would fight about it. And I eventually learned that's not worth fighting for. I really actually don't care that much. But the thing I do care about is our communication. So her being able to communicate her needs and be emotionally aware, that wasn't something that I was willing to compromise on. So getting clear on what I did care about versus what I didn't did help me, eventually be able to respect her need for space. And even if it hurts a little bit, I move on, because I would rather her feel good in herself and be willing to have the conversation than not. So that was a learned thing for me. So Hens, is there anything else you want to say about that?
I'm still kind of getting used to talking in front of everybody.
Yeah, it's okay.
So
it's okay.
I'm gonna need a little bit of time.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It is all good. This is one of many conversations that we're gonna have. So we're just practicing. So Hens, at 14 or at 15, almost 16, a lot of your friends have social media. Hot topic. You do not. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I don't really know what it means to have it, so I guess I can only say that it's just normal for me, because I don't know what it feels like to have it.
Do you feel like you're missing out on anything, or like, can you maybe explain to folks some of the conversations maybe that we have had? Because you've asked me about it, right? We've talked many about it for a long time. So can you share like what some of those conversations have been?
I guess it's mostly about my age and maturity. Like, my mom said that like social media is like, it has a big influence on the mind and like the person's spirit. So I'm not old enough, and I'm also not mature enough to be able to handle all of the crazy things that happen on social media.
Yeah. So this is a conversation that we've had a lot, right? And it's a hot topic. And this is in no way a judgment or y'all should be doing this. This is just our experience, okay? So we're just sharing. There's no judgment. Y'all can do what you want to do. But for me, not having social media is a really important component for raising her to be, and all my kids to be, more emotionally aware and in tune with themselves, because I know how social media impacts me as an adult. And I'm like, at 15, like, nah, we're not ready for that. And especially because it's already enough to have influence from friends and school. And I think that she's sort of navigating that. And so I've always wanted her to feel good in herself first before she has that. She's got a lifetime to have social media. But we don't need that right now at 15, because I can see how much drama it creates amongst our young people, and how so many of our young people don't know how to talk to each other, or just be with each other like this, right? So this is practice for our young people. You know, so that's, for me, it's been very important that I not only not have her on it, but that we communicate and talk about why, so that she feels like she has a deep understanding of it, and it's not just something I'm imposing on her or telling her what to do, but there is a reason why I'm making this decision, and I want her to be informed, because that's a big part of raising her to be more emotionally aware and intelligent, is actually communicating my why, communicating my intention. So I think sometimes as parents, we don't want to ask, like, we don't want to answer the question why, but she's always been very inquisitive and intuitive, and wants to know what stages she has to get to the next level of whatever that thing is. Like, she didn't get a phone till 14, because there are certain things that I'm looking for in terms of emotional maturity to ensure that they're ready for that next step. And so I try to always communicate with them, what am I looking for in order for you to get to this point? So what was one of the things I was looking for, Hens, in order for you to get a phone?
Oh, that's a lot of things. I was
Just a couple, whatever comes to mind.
The biggest thing was being honest with you.
Yep, expand.
I had a very, like, I went through this whole stage where I would just kind of lie about everything. So I had to really get out of that, and I'm now very honest. So that was a huge part of it. And I had to learn how to, like, manage my emotions better, because, like, I used to act out a lot, and I had a lot of, like, dark energy within myself, and I didn't really know how to communicate that or understand that, and I don't think it would have been smart to have a phone, because that would kind of just cancel out my emotion and my intuition or something, my mental. Yeah.
Can you explain, because dark energy can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, so what do you mean when you say that?
Well, I guess it was more of, like, a darkness within, like, because I had, like, a hard time with my dad, and he wasn't always, like, totally, like, the best person. And I felt like I didn't really have a lot of love or attention when I was younger. I mean, obviously you guys loved me, but it was like there was so much going on, or, like, it was just hard to show each other love. And, like, for a long time, me and my dad never said I love you, or we never gave hugs. And, like, I guess that kind of built up a lot of stuff. And when I was little, you went to Baja, I think, for, like, 3 months. And I was totally heartbroken because I had such a big connection to you. And just when you were going on tours and stuff, I wasn't getting that attention anymore because my dad wasn't gonna give it to me. Not saying, me and my dad are cool now. This is just back then. This is to explain myself, but I'm not trying to put my dad down. He's great. We have a good relationship now because of you.
Because we worked on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Thank you for being vulnerable too. So yeah. Yeah. So some context. I after my mom passed away, in 2010. It's very difficult to be a mother without a mother. And so I had a lot of healing and mourning to do. I hadn't done therapy at that time yet. I was a young mother. I had her at 22 years old. So I had a lot of learning to do as a young mama. And so when my mom passed, I didn't know how to process and handle and mourn. I didn't know what that looked like. So a year after she passed, I went to Baja California Sur, Mexico, for 2.5 months without her and Vision, and did backpacking, sea kayaking, and sailing in order to have some time for me and to figure out me. And I trusted that if I prioritized myself and could figure out how to be well, that ultimately they would be well. But in the moment, those times are challenging, right? That's what she's mentioning. We had a very close relationship, but through all of the trauma and drama of my mother passing, so much got broken, and broken in me. And so I had to figure out this very non-linear process of healing. They don't give you a book on how to heal, that kind of stuff. So, that obviously when you have younger kids, that does have an impact on them. But I still felt like I needed to prioritize myself. And I've always been honest with them about that yes, I'm your mother and I'm also me. And I have to take care of me, because if I'm not well, I'm sorry, but you're not gonna be well. And I know that. And so we had a lot of ups and downs of figuring out how to navigate that. But that's why for us communication is so important, because it's not that I'm gonna be a perfect mother who never does anything that she's affected by, but it's I can own up whenever I do something that has affected you, or maybe I did something and I didn't know it affected you, but you can come to me and tell me, and we can talk about it and figure it out, because that's how we can heal, right? That's where the possibility for healing lies. So I'm always so appreciative to you, Hens, for always communicating to me these things. And I know I do probe. I ask a lot of questions to dig in, because I can always tell when there's something going on. But you and I have done so much deep work to heal from a lot of these things. And that's why we're able to talk about it now, because there's a lot of healing that's taken place. And I would also say for her, when she was talking about darker energy, we all come into this life with sometimes trauma that is not ours, that we kind of came into, that's from our family, our mothers or mothers' mothers. And so she definitely came in with some stuff. And we had to work through that stuff. And it took till about 14 years old till we were both looking at each other like, dang, I think we did it. We worked through a lot, and now we're in a good place. And so we kind of came to the conclusion that it takes 14 years to build like a solid relationship. So, 14 years, yo. It's gonna take 14 years. But, we really put in the work, and for her and I, it's never been an option to not have a healthy relationship. That doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. That doesn't mean it's always gonna be perfect or anything. It's never gonna be perfect. But we've committed to the work, because there's no other option. There's no option to not be connected or in tune or understanding. And that's why as a teenager, we're not disconnected. Do you feel disconnected at all as a teenager?
No.
No. And do you feel like as a teen that you need closeness, or you need distance, or maybe it's a mix of both? Like, do you feel like, what people tend to say where teens want to be on their own and like not with their parents, like, do you agree with that, or like what's your perspective on that?
Can you
rephrase the question? Yeah. So a lot of people tend to say that teenagers, when they get to their teen years, they don't want to be around their parents. They don't want to be close and connected to their parents. They want to be on their phone. They want to be hanging out with their friends, all those things. So I want to know how you feel about that statement.
Well, I guess I've just kind of always I've been raised to like not grow up so fast. Like my mom would just teach me things that I needed to know at that time and not go beyond my years. And wait, sorry.
Yeah, so do you feel like it's true that, or what's your opinion on people saying that teens don't want closeness with their parents, or want to rebel, I guess you could say. What do you agree with that? How do you feel about that statement? Do you feel like that's true or no? Or what's your experience been? Do you want to rebel, Hands? Do you want disconnection? What you want?
I don't want disconnection.
Okay.
But dang, these are
Hard questions.
These are good questions. I thought I was gonna be more ready for this. Can you like shorten the questions?
Yes. Okay, in your perspective, do you feel like teens need to be closer to their parents at that time or further apart from their parents?
I think we definitely need to be close with our parents.
Why?
Because if we don't, it's not really gonna come back from what I notice around. Like usually, like when the child gets out of the house, they're like, their parents are like usually like, yeah, get out or something. And so I feel like that kind of disconnects them even more than they maybe want to be. But I think since you have such a high expectation for communication and being close with each other, I feel like that was the difference with me. Because I know that I'm not ever gonna be disconnected from you. Like I'm gonna see you a lot throughout my whole life.
Hey. Yeah, I like that. But do you feel like I'm imposing myself on you? Do you feel like you have freedom to move, or do you feel like, because some people might say, oh, you're stifling her, or you're like overbearing, but how do you feel? Do you feel free? Do you feel like you have space and time?
Yeah, I feel very supported. I feel like you're always supporting me, and you always acknowledge when I want to be independent or when I want like inspiration or guidance. And you've learned to be very open with my lifestyle and how I operate. So that's very helpful.
That's beautiful. And Nicole, when we were all having a chat, she was saying, which I really loved, I appreciated, that you said that the reason why Hens can be the way that she is because I never took away her power. So Nicole, can you speak on that? We're gonna welcome you into the conversation.
Hello, hello. Yeah. So it was in a conversation I was having with the both of you, and I asked Kinohi, I said, do you understand why children want to hurry up and be adults? And she said, no. And so my response was, most children have been raised where their power is taken away, so they see adulthood equals power. So they want to hurry up and get on that side so that they can feel empowered, because oftentimes many of us were raised in ways where we were disempowered and, parented in ways where the adults had power over the children. And from what I see with you and your daughter, you hold power with your children. And so there's never about you disempowering, because everything that you're describing, you're really describing ways of empowering your own children. So to me, it makes sense that when that is never compromised, there's no rush to grow up because they're centered in their power already.
Preach.
That's so true.
Yeah, Nicole, you can lead the rest of this conversation. Nicole Woo, y'all.
So I have so many questions, but it's your time and all that stuff, so I'm going to kind of simplify it. One, I just want to know, Tiff, who gave you permission to? Because you are like breaking so many molds, so many, I've heard it said before around like breaking generational patterns. And the thing is, the analogy that I give often is that like a child being raised in a home, you don't quote unquote learn. No one's teaching you the language. You just pick it up because that's what all you know. So you just really mimic the language, and then English becomes your language, Spanish becomes your language, whatever your home language was. And often how we raise children, we just put it on because that's how we were raised. We weren't learned, right? We didn't learn how to do. And so sometimes what I like in trying to change a parenting pattern, the way your parents have done, it's almost like trying to pick up a foreign language that's not your mother tongue.
Yeah.
So my question is, how did you, like, I want to know the origin story of how you decided to change. And so my question to you, please, I want to know, speak to me on how did your mother parent you? Like, what is like you focus a lot on the, like, communication.
Yeah.
So what was the communication like with your mother? And if you can be specific to, like, a moment, do you have a specific memory in your mind with your mother of a conversation? What was that, and how did that one conversation kind of push the needle into the direction of where you're going now? I want to hear that one.
So the language of my home was dysfunction. There was no communication, and it sucked. It was awful. So the way that I parent is not how I was parented. I don't feel like I was actually parented at all. So sometimes I think to myself, like, how did I come up with how to parent? Like, but I think for me, it's, to be honest, like, in order for me to be, like, happy, I have to be really honest with myself. And I feel like the ways that our society parents children or teaches us to parent, I don't agree. And it doesn't make me happy. And my mom died at 53. Her mom died at 39. Like, I don't got all day to be trying to follow what other people want me to do or follow what people think, because I tried that. I tried to follow what everyone did. I was in a cult, brainwashed. They tell you exactly what to do. And I did all of it, and I was miserable. So I was like, yeah, this shit don't work. It doesn't work. And so having her is the origin story. Because I was in a cult at 22 years old, and I was following the rule book, but something didn't quite feel right inside. But having a child, it's a whole different level, because I don't have to just look out for me, I gotta look out for her too. And so all the BS I was seeing, it like came to light even more. And I was like, oh, if they're doing this shit to me, they're gonna do it to her. Oh no. You know, it's weird that we will allow ourselves to endure things, right? Endure pain, endure trouble, endure all of these things. Hey, boo-boo, hey, can you put the rocks down, please? Thank you. So we as mothers, as people, we just allow ourselves to endure all kinds of craziness, abuse, hardship. But then when we have our kids, it's like, oh no. Oh no. So even though I became a young mother and that had its own challenges, I am so freaking grateful, because that is the reason why I was able to get out of that cult. Because she awakened my spirit. She ignited my fire in a whole other way, and I'm forever grateful to her for that. Yes, and I didn't even know that when I named her Genesis. It was like a prophecy, right? Like a new beginning, definitely, and her middle name is Esperanza, hope. It was like the beginning of hope, and I didn't even know. But she came right in at the right time and literally changed everything for me. And so being able to confront a whole system, a whole religious system, and find my truth and be able to have the courage to pursue that truth for not only my sake, but for them, I think that was the beginning. it wasn't the end of me trying to please other people. That took a long time to heal. It took me years to heal and figure that stuff out. But I think that if you're talking about the origin story, it was that moment of having a child, having her, and her being someone who just from birth, her energy is like, I'm telling you, she always keeps it real. She keeps me honest. She's kept me honest from birth. And I am very, very like grateful to you for that. So in terms of your second question around my mother in a conversation, actually the only conversation that comes to mind, because we didn't have a lot of conversations, was actually, I remember we were in the kitchen. I don't remember what was going on, but my mother's a Cancer, and so you can tell when she's gonna cry. Like you can just see the tears welling up, and my fiery energy's like, Ma, why are you gonna cry? Like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? You know, da da da. And I'm like 16 maybe, and she's like, you're so abrasive. And I was like, what does that even mean? So I like literally went up the stairs and opened the dictionary, and I saw the word abrasive, and I was like, dang, that's what I do? I thought I was just, talking and sharing my thoughts. But clearly I'm very like aggressive and abrasive. So that was like a moment of like, her holding up a mirror to me that like I can be a little bit intense. And actually I think that was the origin of me learning how to communicate a little bit better, because I mean, as a young person, but also as an adult, you really want to get what you want. And when I was poorly communicating and being very abrasive, I could not get what I want with anybody, not just my mother. But her being able to call that out and name it for me was so helpful to see myself and to have to face that I could be abrasive and I can have a tone and I can have an attitude. And so from there, I had to learn how to communicate better in order to get what I want. And so that I feel like is what spurred that. But there wasn't really much communication with my mother and I. She was very loving. I think I did learn unconditional love. She's the only person I felt unconditional love from, hands down. But she was a single mother. She grew up in an orphanage. She didn't have a lot of examples of mothering herself, and her mom died at 39. So, a lot of the communication that I learned, I don't know, I just thank the ancestors, because somehow, I think it's my kids. Like, they really pull that out, because, you can see what you really didn't get as a child. So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you, Tiff.
Yeah.
And so now, Kinohi. So I would like to know if you can remember one of your first memories of your mother. And in that memory, if you could share what that memory was, and how did you see her then?
Wow. I feel like maybe the first, my mind is all scattered. So it's like, I think I remember the first time, but it also might not be the first time. But I think the first thing I remember is we were on a bus, and I think we were going to the movies or something. And I just remember it being really fun. Because, we're going to the movies. Let's get on the bus. So, but I think maybe we were also on a train.
Yep.
And you would, I had a hard time biting the apples, so you would bite off the apple, and then you would give it to me. I'm like, this is the life. And I love the train. So that was pretty great. I just loved, to maybe sum up, that first memory. It was just being able to, run around everywhere and just go to the laundromat and get cool toys from that one toy dispenser. And it was just really cool. You made everything, fun, even if it was really hard. So those are my first memories. They're pretty amazing. So.
And so with your first memories of your mom, how has it shifted, grown, expanded from how you saw her then and what you see in her now?
I think now I've been able to realize her struggle, because I didn't realize what she was going through back then. I didn't realize that, like, her mother passing was like, it actually took it hit really hard for her. So as a child, obviously, I wasn't able to see that. But now I feel like I'm able to understand more of why things were happening like that. And I appreciate her more for just being able to make my life really great, even if it wasn't so great for you. Yeah.
Thanks.
I personally think that tears are, when we are able to cry and allow our tears to be seen, I think it's an act of generosity. You know, we create waters. And so when we allow our tears to be shown and shed, that is the source of the power of what makes us who we are. And I think that that's a huge act of generosity. So thank you for your tears.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming my tears.
So now, last question, 'cause I know this is for the both of you. So the question is, what is the gift that your relationship, what is the gift in your relationship? What is the gift that it has to offer the world, to us? Like, what do you hope to inspire to other mothers and daughters? The gift of this relationship. And I do believe that a relationship is its own entity. Like, you are whole, and together you've birthed a third entity, the relationship. So what is the gift about your particular relationship? And what do you hope to inspire in other mothers and daughters?
It's all patience, really. Like, it takes a lot of patience, because it wasn't always like, we didn't always have this relationship. Like, there was a lot of struggles and, like, errors and just, like, mistakes that we needed to learn from. So, like, it's possible to have a great relationship with your mom, but it's not gonna happen overnight, because it took like 14 years. So that's a long time. That's like my whole life. Yeah. We've constantly been evolving. So
yeah. I remember once I told Hens, I'm like, Hens, our relationship takes work. Communication takes work. And she like almost started crying because she was a little bit offended that it takes work, because in her mind, it should be an automatic thing. You're my mom. I'm your daughter. The relationship should be automatic. I was like, oh no, it is not automatic. We have to choose to be in relationship. We have to choose to be communicating and to want to have a great relationship. So it's a choice. So I think that was a shift, right, that you had to have. So the gift of our relationship, I agree with patience. And I don't have a lot of patience. I've had to learn it as an Aries and an Aries rising. But I would say possibility is a gift of our relationship, because I think that we're very honest with each other and honest about the realities that it took for us to get here, that it wasn't overnight, it wasn't easy. And so I think it creates possibility and hope for other people to be able to have an honest relationship and also repair, right? That's such a big part of healthy relationships is repair. It's not that I'm never going to hurt you, you're never going to hurt me, but it's like when we hurt each other, can we talk about it and can we repair that hurt in a loving way? And so I think being able to put that on display, that this right now where we are is the result of many, many years of breaking and repair, and the perseverance and the resilience to continue to repair and, just go through that process. So, and I think what I would like to inspire in other mother-daughter relationships is just this connection. And that you can have this kind of dialogue and conversation with your young daughters, your children in general, just to show that it's possible. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other things you want to ask?
I have a lot, but we don't have.
Well,
all night,
yeah, we can take a little
yeah,
break and
yeah.
then we'll come back, and if you want to ask any other questions, or we'll open it up for Q&A. Yep. And now, Nicole, we're going to take a little break so that y'all can move and shake, but we're going to have a little guided movement first with Nicole, and then we'll have 5 minutes. You grab more food, use the restroom, and then we'll come back for a Q&A. But give it up for Kinohi, Nicole Woo. Oh, thank you. There's so much more we could say, it's like this is scratching the surface. I won't keep you here all night, I promise, but I'll try to get through as many of these questions because I think it's important. So good thing it's a Friday, no school tomorrow. Okay.
My question is, what is one practical grounding method that you use, both of you, when you're emotionally impacted by the other person or triggered? Mic drop.
Damn. What? Okay, a grounding method or practice that we use actively when one or both of us is triggered. Do you have an answer to that? It's all me, okay. But then you're gonna answer. Okay. Well, to be honest, we don't get as triggered now as we maybe once did. So that's growth, #growth. I think for me, simply just taking space. Give her space and I take space. I love being in nature, so it's really helpful to me to take space. And I will leave the kids at home because they're a little older, and they will take care of Lolo, the 6-year-old, and I'll leave and I'll go jump in the ocean. Deuces, I'll be back. But honestly, she doesn't really trigger me that much anymore. We worked through a lot of stuff, but I would say the ocean, nature, and space. Is that practical enough? Okay.
I definitely agree with space, because if we're both like triggered and in the same house at the same time, it gets pretty rough, but that's just kind of how it is. But for me, I think whenever I need space, she's like, you take the boys to the beach, and then I get my time. So there's like, it's not like I'm always at the house taking care of my younger siblings. There's like a way we can both get space. But if I can't get space, I just kind of isolate myself in my room. And that's not always a bad thing. I feel like it's a bad thing when like you're just in there like the whole day, but like when you need space, it's okay to go in your room. I mean, that's what you do sometimes. Go in your room, watch a movie, close the door, eat some Oreos. Yeah, that's what you can do. So that's a pretty good one. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, Nutella and pretzels. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I like that. Nice. Okay, I'm not gonna talk too much.
This question has to do with the conversation you was having with Nicole earlier, right? I wanted to know was this the first time you've acknowledged that your mother giving you the language of abrasive was the spark that ignited your parenting style of communicating?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. So when you said your mother called you abrasive,
Yeah,
and you
she
had to
did.
go up and look at the definition, and you also said she helped you with language to see yourself.
Yeah.
And when you were saying that, it was resonating as if, because you said you didn't have a communication style in your house, but it's like that was almost like a spark that kind of ignited how you would communicate because you were able to see yourself through language. Like,
Yeah.
was this the first time you said that out loud?
It is the first time I've said it out loud. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of probing questions. It helps to bring awareness to consciousness, right? And I think for me, honestly, sometimes my memory is like off when it comes to my childhood and my mother. Partly coping, probably. I've healed a lot of it, I feel like, but I struggle to remember certain things with my mom. And so, yeah,
Okay.
I do feel like it was like one of those moments, yeah.
Yeah, I asked that question because even when we are in our most unconscious state, sometimes we're able to do things to spark consciousness, right? So even as parents, all of us here, we have our flaws, we struggle, but like even when she was saying the things that she remembered that brought joy, as a mom, I'm listening. She was like, when we were at the laundromat, when we were at the bus, and we were like, as a mom, you're like, man, I gotta go to the laundromat.
I gotta
go
all
to
this
the
shit
bus.
to the
You know
laundry.
what I'm saying? And this is like, I just say that to say, even some of us, if we think we're moving unconsciously, because that love for your children that you have, there's always something that you're given. There's a gift. And I just wanted you to acknowledge that the gift that your mother gave you.
Yeah, my mom did give me a lot of gifts, but I think she was not a woman of words. She was a woman of action. And so a lot of her love got displayed in like spontaneity. So she was very spontaneous and would like, out of nowhere, we're supposed to be going to work with her. It's like work with mom day. And she's like, y'all want to go to Six Flags? Hell yeah, we want to go to Six Flags. And then we end up at Six Flags on a roller coaster that day, right? So that was my mother. She wasn't very responsible with money, but she was very into memories. And, perhaps that was a subconscious thing that she was doing because her own mother, died when she was young. But then also, maybe her spirit knew she wouldn't be here as long. So she did do a lot of memories and like camping trips. So that was her language. I think that was how she communicated, but it wasn't often with words. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Next question. Who's next with the question? Pass it down.
So you kind of answered this, and maybe I'll say it one more time, but if not, I have another one. So you mentioned space, and so maybe it's kind of a repetition, but how has the space in between affected or impacted your relationship? And just knowing you personally that sometimes like that you don't see each other every week, right? So how does that impact your relationship?
I'm going to go and then you're going to go. So this is a great question because we do have a co-parenting schedule that's changed over the years, but we're at a co-parenting schedule right now where I have them Wednesday to Wednesday, and then their dads have them Wednesday to Wednesday. And so it's true. We don't see each other every day. So in some ways, I kind of think it helps because we have learned, even when we did see each other every day, I've always wanted to impart on my kids interdependence, not dependence or independence. I want interdependence. I think that's a healthy attachment style, interdependence. But I want you to actually know how to emotionally regulate yourself and meet your own needs and I can also meet some of your needs, but I'm not gonna meet all your needs. And I don't think that's actually my job to meet all your needs. I think we're conditioned to think that as mothers, we have to meet all our children's needs emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. I'm like, I can. If I want to actually have a little bit of time for myself, I can't meet all of their needs. But in our home, that's okay. That's healthy for her to know what she needs and go figure out how to meet that need. And if you don't know how to figure it out, come and talk to me, and we can figure out how to meet that need together. So I personally think that the space helps us gain clarity. We both are pretty reflective and introspective. And so I think it helps calm our space, because, you know, we don't always communicate the same at all. We're very different communicators. So I think space allows us to see the other person and see their vantage point, and then also come with a more clear head to have conversation. So how would the space that we take, you know how you said space helps when we get triggered, I said space helps, you know, sometimes I go to the beach, sometimes you go in your room, sometimes we're both watching stuff in our own rooms, chilling out. How has that space affected our relationship? And even the fact that you have a co-parenting schedule where you don't, you know, you do see me in that week, but you're at your dad's house for a week. So how has that impacted our relationship?
Wow, well, I guess it does really help though, because like it's like it's easy to like live with someone every day and be like, okay, I'm like tired of you. Like that's how I feel with my brother sometimes, but like being apart from like both parents, like at separate times, it's kind of like, oh, I get to be with my mom this week, and like, oh, I get to be with my dad this week. So like it's not like, oh my God. So like it's just kind of, I don't know, it does help. I don't really know how to explain it, but like it's, yeah, it's not a negative thing because of the fact that I don't get to see you every day. And like I think it also helps because it's easy to get frustrated with each other, especially like when we're both not having a good day, or like when one person is feeling bad but the other person is like, I don't know what's going on. So it's like, it's kind of like that break time where like we can like, okay, what happened this week? What could I have done better? And then we don't have to like lash out on each other every single day because we get that break time and that reflective time. At least that's what I do. I don't know. This is probably different for everybody, but that's just kind of how I see it.
Yeah. And let me just follow up with a question. I think, or maybe it's a statement and a question, but like for me, I feel that even when you're apart, I still feel connected to you. Like, I think we have a healthy attachment. And when we don't feel connected, that's when I start asking questions and we get to the bottom of it. But for the most part, I think that is when you have a healthy attachment, there can be space because we're secure. I'm secure in her, she's secure in me. So do you feel secure in us even when you're away?
Yeah, because I end up seeing you basically every week anyway. It's like, it's not like we're separating. It's only like we're like 10 minutes away basically. So like there's always, it's not like I'm like going away to some faraway land where I'm never gonna have contact with my mom. Yeah. Like I can contact you. I could even walk to your house if I wanted to, even though I probably couldn't. But there's like a whole bunch of possibilities. And it's kind of impossible not to connect with you, even when we're apart.
Thank you. Next question. Who else had a question?
It's actually a question for Nicole. You said something early on that it struck me so. I held it as long as I could, and then I lost it. And I really want you to tell me what it was again. It was something like generation to generation to generation, or it was like it's bringing ancestors.
Oh, about tears?
Okay, I'm not going to hold it up for that. I thought maybe it was impactful for you, and so you would go, oh, yeah, that. But yeah. What was it? Do you remember, does that ring a bell? It was a dance. It was a word dance. It was a word dance.
Was it when she was talking to us?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was early on. It was more like the introduction kind of thing. It was very like poetry. It was very like a word dance, and I didn't have anything to write at that time.
She was talking from the spirit. The spirit took over. Good thing this is recorded.
It's on the video.
Yeah, it's on the video. So we're going to play that back, and I'll send it to you, Auntie Red. It was in the beginning, she said. But she's just saying that it was impactful for her, but she can't remember what exactly you said. No, I think it was when we were having a conversation. Anyway, we recorded it. You said something powerful, and everybody liked it. And Rhea's trying to figure out what did she say, because I like that. But we're going to get the recording, and I'm gonna make sure you get that.
Okay. When you were talking about mother-daughter and that relationship, it reminded me of my relationship with my mother. And I remember being so upset with her because she was always helping everybody else. Preacher's kid, the pillar of the community, and it's like, why don't we get some of that? And it wasn't until, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, did I? Oh, God. Yeah, so, but then, I think I was in my 50s, I realized that she was doing the best she could to rescue her siblings from the violence in her home, and that her oppression of me was to keep me alive, that if I got too abrasive, too much attitude, too cocky, I'd get myself killed, and that it was her attempt to save me that made me angry with her. So at some point, I forgave her. The question that I have for you is sort of like forgiveness came, and it came easily, but that doesn't mean that closure came, because I saw her behavior in me, or I saw how I wanted. She tried to be different, and I tried to be different from her. So what do you do with that distinction between forgiveness and closure, like not being triggered by it or not being still affected late in life?
And can I just clarify, are you talking about me with my own mother, or are you talking about her and I, or just in general, forgiveness versus closure and how you sort of deal with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
However you want to take it.
Okay. What's coming up for me is I actually struggle with forgiveness personally. And sometimes I think maybe I have like also kind of a negative association due to the church. Forgive, even though people do you wrong and they actually didn't own up to it. So I struggle with, forgiveness sometimes, because I think sometimes we're often pushed to forgive when people didn't take any accountability. So for me, I orient better to, I may not be responsible for the wounds that have been inflicted on me, but I am responsible for whether or not they stay open. I can repeat that if y'all want.
That's
I mean,
the question. Yes.
So
That's it.
I am not responsible for the wounds inflicted upon me, but I am responsible for whether or not they stay open. Right? So that for me is my commitment to my own healing and my own self-actualization. Because if I don't own the fact that the wounds in me are still open, whether or not I created or somebody else created it or whatever, if I don't take responsibility for that, guess who suffers? Me. And I don't get to live into my fullest potential. So I think the way to deal with triggers and all of that is like, triggers for me are a mirror. Oh, we got shit to look at. That's all it is. It's an indication of, oh, that's still something I need to look at. And a lot of people won't look at it. They just stay triggered and they just stay angry and whatever. But for me, it's similar to our feelings. Your feelings are just communicating to you something that needs to be seen or heard or looked at. And so I feel like for me, I'm so deeply committed to my own healing because I really want to realize my potential in this life, and I really want to break the cycles of my family history so that I can live into the full gifts that my ancestors have given me. And so for me, it's less about forgiveness and more about, am I taking accountability for myself and my life and doing what I need to do to heal the wounds that have been inflicted upon me or that I brought onto myself. I think that's where closure comes from. And then I think when I heal, I can release people. Forgiven or not forgiven, I can let you go. I can let you go and do you and not take that on. But it's a process. It's been a process for me. So I feel like when I'm committed to that, it helps me operate with her in a more thoughtful, loving, respectful, patient way. But when she does trigger me, it's just for me an indication that I need to go deeper. And thankfully, I feel like she also mirrors back sometimes when I don't even recognize that I got a little attitude with her, she'll let me know. And then I get like, oh, okay, I apologize. Let me go look at that. So does that answer?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Beautiful. Next question. Who had a question over here? Question. Any other question? April? Yep, you have a question. Okay, go ahead.
I got you.
Yeah, well, yeah. Give her the mic. It'll be easier. And we're recording into that mic, so then we can hear your question clearly.
Okay. Okay. I'll probably deliver this funny simply because that's kind of like the style. But, okay. So when it came to the long conversations that you would have, and I am very long-winded with my child, maybe too long-winded, because I get so I'm just basically, when about the age, or when did it make sense for you, the conversations that your mother was having with you? Because I'm getting some of the, yeah, okay, Mom, I get it. I'm like, that is an interesting response. Let's talk about it, you know? And the conversation gets a little longer, so just when did it start to make sense?
So you're saying when I had long conversations, she might have been younger but not fully understanding what I was talking about? So like when did it start to click?
Yes, for her, and also for you, forming it into a way,
That
when
they
did
could
you do the
understand.
dance? Because you said that I was pushing her at a certain point, and then I realized, oh, this is actually where we need to change positions, so it's kind of like.
Well, I can first say that I have always approached my kids as y'all have understanding. You may not be able to talk clearly back, but you get it. And so I'm going to talk to you like you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to ask you to repeat back to me what you heard. So that helps me gauge what they're understanding or not understanding and where they're at, because I will ask them to repeat back what they heard. And sometimes Lolo, right, I'll ask Lolo, what did you hear? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna repeat myself, and then I'm gonna have you repeat back to me what you heard. I also never talk to my kids if they're not looking at me when they're young. I say, Lolo, look at me in my eyes, right? Yep. And then I speak, right? So for me, I always assume that my kids understand, but I've adjusted my language to their age. But I never baby talk. I don't bring it down. I speak to them like they know in age appropriate ways, but I speak to them like they do understand. And what I've learned is that eventually they start repeating things to their other sibling of stuff that I told them, and that's when I know they get it. But it's that repetition. So when do you feel like, Hens, that you started to kind of get what I was saying? Do you feel like it happened early on or later or a mix?
Well, I guess I kind of always just understood what you were trying to tell me, because I was your first child, and obviously all these things just came on to me. And so I've been hearing this for multiple years, like many, many years. And I've heard it multiple times, told to my siblings, to me. So I've had the longest time to kind of understand like what you're trying to say. But I feel like it's more of a deeper understanding now because of how much I've learned over these years. So I've always kind of understood, but I understand way more now. So, yeah.
And what do you do if you don't understand something I said?
Well, I always ask you. So asking questions has never been a problem. I feel like I've always been able to ask you questions, and you know how to like respond back to me, because sometimes things just go over my head and I need repetition because I don't get everything the first time.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That's a great point. She'll eventually get it, but she doesn't always get it the first time, but she can be honest about when she's not understanding it versus like playing to please me. Oh, Ma, sure, I get it. But when I ask her to repeat back, she don't get it, right? So she's gotten to a point where she's happy to own up when she doesn't understand, because we're at a point where you want to understand. And the other day we were talking, she's like, Ma, I got 15 years of experience with communication, because we've been doing this since she was like 1 year old or less. Like when she literally couldn't talk, I would talk to her like she knew what I was talking about and literally put her in timeout if I need to. I know not everybody's about timeout, but I did do timeout. And I would ask her, I would tell her, hey, this is what you did. This is why I'm putting you in timeout. And then I would ask her to tell me why I put her in timeout before she could even talk. So she would just point to the thing. And that's how I knew she got it. I'm like, she knows. She knows what she did. She knows. So whether they're signing or pointing, they're communicating and they get it. So, yeah. Thank you for that question. You had a question in the back.
Why did you start Wild Mama Voices?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. I started Wild Mama Voices because I really felt like multiple reasons. I feel like, one, you don't see a lot of mothers gathered like this with intention, right? And I really believe that mothers are the roots of the earth. They feed all the trees and they build the ecosystem. And so we got to take care of our mamas. But also I wanted to amplify and uplift the stories and the voices of mamas. Because you know your mama, she's powerful, right? She's got a lot to say, right? But society often wants her to not speak. They often want us mamas not to speak. And that perpetuates systems of oppression. So it's very important that we mamas speak, because I really believe that when mamas speak and when mamas are well, the earth, Grandmother Earth, and the world can be much better. And do you feel like you're good when your mama's good? When your mama's feeling good?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So when your mama's able to express herself and speak and use her voice, she feels better. We all feel better. So we're better when we can hear each other's voices versus be in isolation. And we've been conditioned to be in isolation, and that doesn't help us at all. And that's also why I'm recording it, because I don't just want it to stay here. I want mamas everywhere to be able to listen and tune in, because how do we shift the narrative if people can't hear us? Yeah. Right? Yeah. I ain't trying to shift the narrative in silence. How you gonna do that? So that's why we're speaking and we're recording it, so that we can amplify these stories, so that other mamas can hear and learn from all of us here and feel empowered to show up for themselves. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great question. Question over there.
All right, this question is actually for Hens. All right, so taking into account the struggles that your mom experienced at your age, and also witnessing her growth throughout your lifetime and evolution and change, 7 generations from now, when we're all gone, what message or what thing do you want them to know about the woman sitting next to you?
Dang, I'm supposed to answer this in like 2 minutes? That's crazy. But there's so much I have to say about her. Like, she's it's like, she's so amazing. Like, she like came from the ground all the way to like past the sky. And like my Kumo said, like, oh, like, you're not born into wealth, like, you, like, wait, hold on, like, I'm so sorry. Like, my Kumo once, he told me that, like, our parent, like, we're born into wealth, like, 'cause we didn't have to do anything, and our parents were probably doing the same things. But when I look at my mom, like, she created this, and like over like wow. Like in the past 15 years, she's been able to change our whole life, because she's been reading all these books. We have a whole library in our house, and whenever we move, there's like huge boxes of books that we have to carry. And it's her own personal library. She's worked so hard to make our lives better than hers when she was our age. And that's just great. Like, how does somebody do that? I don't think I could do that. But there's so much things. But what I would really want people to understand is that, like, even if you're like going through all this stuff and your childhood was all messed up, if you have the passion and if you have like the ambition, then you can go through anything, because that's what she did. And I feel like she's just a really big inspiration. But I feel like this is really hard for me, because I am terrible with my words right now. And I need to probably read more books too, because I don't know how to explain myself right now. And it's kind of confusing, but dang, there's so much that we're gonna be here for a while if I keep talking. So I think I'm gonna stop right here.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions before we close? Nicole, do you have any follow-up? Oh, you have a mic.
I just want to reflect back to Kinohi. It makes me think of Ubuntu. I am because we are. And I just want to remind you that she is because you are. You have the mother that you had because you required it. Your soul required you to be free, so she had to be it. What you have is amazing, but remember, your soul required nothing less. So everything you see in her, it's because of you. Everything she sees in you is because of this deeper responsibility that your souls had with each other from before this lifetime, and the responsibility that you have generations beyond this. And so it's, don't even have the words for it, but definitely own this beautiful unfolding and blossoming that you each have brought to each other this lifetime. And thank you for allowing us to witness and be inspired and to actually feed our souls, so then we can go back and feed our families and feed the villages and feed our communities and feed this earth. So just thank you.
Yes, thank you, Nicole. I really appreciate you being here, Nicole. I feel like we can have a part 2 where you can ask all the questions you didn't ask. But yeah, this was lovely. So we're gonna go around really quick. All our mamas are gonna just share one quick takeaway, and then we are gonna have Keala. She's gonna sing 2 songs for us, and then Auntie Rhea is going to close us out with a few words, and then we're gonna get to dance. Yes, can you go grab that mic? Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, just go around and share one quick takeaway that you're taking from this time together.
God, emotional every time. My takeaway would be, yeah, just feeling inspired to start with my son, who's only 17 months, to start this and talking to him like a man. I'm just kidding. No, like a grown boy. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of second that. Like, just I could really hear Kinohi in your when you were asked how much you, when was the point when it clicked? And I was like, no, I think it always did. Like I don't think we give our kids enough credit. Like they really do get it, especially when they're just around it all the time. Like they get it, of course they do. But I think for me, the big one was just a very personal one about grief, your journey with your own mother, and that. And this year for me, so loss has been a big thing, and just kind of validating, oh, okay, whatever I have to do is what I have to do, and that's that. So, thank you for that.
So one of my takeaways is in reflection, because I have 3 daughters, and so I think they always tell me, not me, or they tell people, you have to be a mother or a parent, and you can't be a friend. You have to separate these two. But I'm this is affirmation for me. No, you can be a girlfriend, and talk about boys or whatever things that you can't feel, you can't talk to your mother, but also you can parent. So it's how can we have the communication very evenly that I can do both with you, but you can receive it, right? So both of those. So I took away from that, and it was definitely affirmation for me, and it was beautiful, and I love your relationship. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all 3 of you. I think my takeaway is to prioritize the connection, that is what comes first. You were talking about the things that you care about. Yeah. And that they are their whole person, and we are our whole person, and we create a third entity through that connection. Thank you.
My takeaway is to keep coming back every month.
Nice. I think the biggest thing I took away was the importance of communication. And it sounded like there were years where it was a little more challenging and that you were patient and always kind of was on top of it. So to always have that hope of just if you work things through, communicate, because it's hard, I think, as a parent, you always want to just tell them or share instead of listen and have it be a two-way street. So I think the communication piece was really important, and then that way you feel safe to have honest conversations. But I could feel such a beautiful bond between you folks, so it was a gift. Thank you.
Yes, I echo that sentiment, knowing and remembering that how important it is to make the choice to communicate, because then you can have this like boomerang effect, right? You can be your rock for your kid, and I wrote here like, fly you free, then come back to me.
My takeaway is continued growth, continued perpetuated growth through positive relationships and energy as you reevaluate the different stages that they go through life will yield a great harvest. And it's clear that you're harvesting. Your crops are really growing.
My takeaway is like a shape. It's a spiral. Communication is a spiral. The space that we give one another, it spirals. And the spiral of respect. There's so much mutual respect in your interacting. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Hi, my takeaway was that it doesn't really matter whether or not it's just mother, daughter. It could be husband, wife, aunt, uncle. It's really cherishing the soul connection that you have. And that's really huge, is that the souls are connecting soul to soul, heart to heart, love to love.
I think my takeaway, apart from your beautiful answer to the question about closure and forgiveness, is the importance of asking questions and listening to the answers. So watching you communicate and grow, even tonight with each other, being vulnerable with each other, just really warmed my heart and made me, I mean, I wanted to get on the phone and call my granddaughter, whom I raised, you know, because the love that persists is so deep, and to see it in you at this time in your lives, it's like a gift. I was so tired coming here, and I'm just stoked, so thank you.
I just wanted to say mahalo for having this space, and for everybody who's here, needed to be here. And like her, I'm excited. I was a little bit tired too. And I'm just energized, excited for the next year, the next generation. And the Godspiration I had was, life is too short to experience everything yourself, so learn from others and learn from the wisdom. And it goes up that way and it goes down that way, and age is irrelevant. And love on everybody and be kind.
I feel really grateful for being here, and just, you know, motherhood, it's the hustle and bustle for me. I feel like I wake up running and I'm just running, and being here, it's so beautiful to see, you know, like the individual relationships that we can have with our children and value that. So I feel grateful for bringing that to my attention. It's like, I know it's in the back of my head, but with all the craziness, it's like you tend to forget. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and witness the three of you, but mostly the two of you as mother-daughter. It gives me a lot of hope for my relationship with my own daughter, and it also helps me reflect my relationships that I have with my two sons as well, because they're older. But cultivating honesty and safety and communication is my biggest takeaway. I want my kids to be able to come to me forever. And that's something I don't have in my parents. So, you know, we take what we learn from what we like and what we don't like, and we take what we can that's useful, you know, and we have compassion for our parents because they only come from what they knew. So I'm grateful for it all.
My biggest takeaway, okay. I kind of want to clarify something real quick. No, I know he gets it. I just meant when does the sass stop? I think that was it. It's because I got a little sass. Because he's... Okay. Okay. So I guess my biggest takeaway with all of it is I'm doing a good job. I'm in the right space. The activities and everything align. So, you know, I feel very supported in community, which is like really cool for me, because for this past little bit, some people know what I've been through, right? And so it's nice to feel seen and loved. Just and very, you know, well supported and well cultivated seeds, well cultivated children.
So when I look at you, you know, your mother and grandmothers and great-grandmothers are here too. And we all brought our ancestors, and we brought our future ancestors too. And just for all of us to remember how proud our mothers are of us and our grandmothers, and how we are speaking and doing what they could not. And so just to remember that and just to really hold that and treasure that. And thank you for that reminder. And I loved hearing about, you know, your mother and your grandmother. So anyway, thank you for that.
Peggy, you just made me chop onions here, so bear with me, I'm a little emotional right now. So my takeaway, I will say that there's a lot of gratitude in this space. I want to say thank you to all the moms and the women who share their stories tonight. I don't know why my heart is going a million miles per minute, but I also want to say, let's see, with what you both, or I'm sorry, the three of you shared tonight, kind of brought me back some memories of my mom's younger sister who basically raised me as a kid. For the longest time, I thought I was full of Japanese growing up. And she would always make memories. She was not really the most, how do I say kanimochi in English? Like, she wasn't really rich, but it was like she made food to make me feel rich. And that was my upbringing. So food was my, like, happiness. So thank you. I'm gonna give her a call tonight. So that's 5 hours behind me, so I'll call her tonight when I get home. And let's see. And I will say I have struggled a lot over the years, being from like mixed race like family. I definitely have overcome through a lot, and I don't know what I was trying to say about that thought, because Peggy made me cry, but that's okay, we'll come back to that. But I do want to say thank you again. Arigato.
I just want to recognize you, Hans. You did such a great job today. I think that you are such an amazing young woman, and I can't wait to see who you become in the future, because you're like the beginning of you is already like here. And I don't know if you see that, but I do. And I just wanted to say that to you.
So my takeaway was when you were talking about in your relationship, the breaking and then repair and the breaking, and it's not just one time, but the over and that dedication, and you kept saying like, this is not optional, like this is what we're doing. And your word about patience. So when you were talking about that, and what really hit home for me is like, it's a process that to be committed to, because that's something I want this kind of relating with my own sons. And oftentimes the narrative in my head in the past has been like, well, I don't have it, I don't know how, because it wasn't modeled to me, you know, even in my current relationship with my family, like they don't do that. But to hear and see that you can just build it, and you just, you know, and build it, and through building it, through breaking, repairing, and how that very fabric creates the resilience and the connection. It's like the breaking, rebuilding creates the threads that create the actual fabric of that kind of quality relationship. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, I feel very weird because I feel like I wasn't very clear. So I'm sorry if like I wasn't clear at all, because I just hope that you guys know that this is my first time speaking up here, and I'm sorry if I didn't answer your questions here well or something, but I'm trying. I'll do. But yeah, thank you for being here and supporting my mom, because she worked really hard for this.
Thank you. No, you did great, Hens, and it's not about perfection. We take imperfect action. That's one of our core values at Wild Mama, imperfect action. So it's not about perfection. You have the grace to make mistakes, and still we feel your heart, and we hear your wisdom. And I think what we have, it doesn't really need words. So even if we can't communicate it, everybody heard it, right? It's felt, it's energy. So don't worry. And this is one of many, so we good, you good. Amazing. So yeah, I know we went way over time, but I appreciate y'all. So Kiala, it's you. So we really wanted to give another teen the opportunity to make an offering, and so she's going to offer up 2 songs. So you can come up here and I'll get the mic for you. Do you want to sit next to me, and she can sit there? Let's use this mic. Sitting in the spot right here? Yep, right in the middle. You can move this however you need to move it. Check, check.
Aloha everyone, I'm Keala. I first off just want to give a huge shout out to my mom. She is the most amazing person. And thank you for inviting me here, because me and her, we don't have a lot of like alone time. I have 3 other siblings, I have 3 other siblings, and my house is hectic. So thank you.
Yeah.
And how about you all give a round of applause for your guys' selves. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. I'm a little far, I'm only 19. I'm a little far from being a mother, but I hope one day I'll be just like all of you. You guys are amazing. So thank you, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to sing.
Of course.
This first song I'm gonna sing is called Lilikoi by Paula Funga, and the first words are sweet and sour like a lilikoi. So I thought it was kind of like that, you know, with your daughters or your children, you know, sweet and sour, you know. It's kind of like it works.
It works.
Sweet and sour like a lilikoi. Oh, my joy, like smoke rising from the fire, taking me higher, and I will never love again the way that I loved you, my friend. But I know I put it all on you. Let your thoughts determine how I feel about me too. But I know I must be one with it before I create my own kin. I must be strong, I must rely on a father. An independent daughter needs a strong, courageous mother. And now I know, I see the light, it's clear to me now. And now I know. Sweet and sour like a lilikoi. Oh, my joy, like smoke rising from the fire, taking me higher. Ina mama keo e hopu I kaia, pono e malama I kaloi, e pihana I kalokoi a. Hiki o ke koho me ka pono. Dance, girl. And now I know, I see the light, it's clear to me now. And now I know.
Yes.
So this next song, you guys probably all know it. It's called Lift Me Up by Rihanna. And the other day, she asked me to sing, and I was like, okay, I know a couple songs, I gotta think of what songs I go on to sing. And then I was just singing in my room, and then this song came up, and I was like, I love this song. And for some reason, this song, I just thought this song would like relate, you know? Lift me up, keep me safe and sound. So I'm gonna sing this song for you guys. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me safe, safe and sound. Burning in a hopeless dream, hold me while I fall to sleep. Keep me in the strength of your love. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Drowning in an endless sea, take some time and stay with me. Keep me in the strength of your love. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down. Keep me safe, safe and sound.
Oh my God. So I saw her sing like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, damn, this girl has such a pure heart, such a generous spirit, just like love. You know, I don't know her that well, actually, but we gonna be friends now. I know you now. But I just appreciate you being here and, like, you know, being able to be supported by our teens and having it be a mutual relationship, right? A give and a take versus us only giving as mamas. But no, we get to also receive. And my people be reminding me to receive. But I really appreciate you offering that up to us because we need it. We need space to be held also as mothers. And so I appreciate you as a daughter, as a teen, offering up your gifts to hold us and to make us well and better. We all benefit from it. So, yeah, appreciate you. So our final words will be by our Auntie Rhea, who is 77. Can we give it up for our elders? I have to tell them. I have to tell them because it's just amazing. And you all being here means so much to me. Like, every time you're here, it really just lights my spirit, and it grounds me. It makes me feel like we must be doing something, because for you to take the time out of your day to be here, it really means a lot. So I really, really appreciate y'all.
Thank you. This is so special. I mean, I look forward to this. It's on my calendar. As soon as, I'll go put the next one on my calendar. So thank you. It's magic in here. We might miss it because it's kind of low key, but that's the way magic really is, isn't it? It's not jumping up and down and advertising itself. It's just being magic. And there's magic in here every time, every time. So Tiffany, I want to thank you. I want to thank all of us, but I want to thank you for your vision. This is the law of attraction in action, because you had a vision, your intention, you were inspired, and look what you are continually creating together in your community. I've lived here for almost half a century, and I haven't seen anything like this in this community. There's other groups and things that come and go, but this is a magical thing, because what you've couched it in, what you've surrounded it with, mothering, ancestry, connection to the earth, the mothers, the grandmothers, the children, the 7 generations back and forward. You can't miss with that. So let's keep on going. I definitely move these days on intuition, so I was led to share something from a book that I was led to buy. I don't even know why I got this. It's called Black Powerful. It's an anthology, and one of the reviewers describes it as a proud chorus that offers Afrofuturistic visions, love, and a tall, cool glass of water for all kinfolk with hearts facing homeward. So I was guided to share these few pieces. This is Wishes. May you find comfort in your own softness, your own mercy today. May the eclipse bring forth your clearest intentions. May you speak them into existence with a clear mind. May your heart shed her old calluses like a Korean foot peel and become brand new and baby soft again. May your eagerness to know, to love, and be loved reciprocally be met within yourself first. May you see yourself and your children as long stretches of DNA, healing all the way back to the beginning with the first mother. May you honor yourself by loving the people you came through and the people who came through you. May you receive what is yours, everything you've knit together, with patience and practice. Another wish. May you open your eyes to another opportunity to love yourself through circumstances deemed wholly unlivable. May your reality encounter miracles of mercy, airborne and magnetic, mercy that it fixes itself to your path, softening the ceaseless blows of life. May your soul rest, who have been called to exist beyond yourself again and again, with no fuel beyond your trauma. You deserve rest. You deserve the space of surrender while protected and safe. May you find pockets of rest from the cold daily brunt of vigilance that keeps you alive. And the last piece that asked to be read this evening. I feel most powerful when I acknowledge that I am not alone, and I never have been. Where I am in community with people that love me, even the ones that aren't physically present anymore. When I am brave enough to situate myself in vastness and contend with the fact that my life is multitudinous. I am everything my ancestors ever were and everything I will need to be for as long as I'm here. When I recollect that I am in infinite community, I feel my most powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. I think it is definitely time to dance. Yeah. So that was our close. Aw, baby. She heard you. She heard it. Aw. One thing I want to encourage. One thing I want to encourage is if you feel like you resonate with a mama that's here, it was asked last time that I share folks' emails, and I'm like, yo, why don't you just talk to them? Go find the person you resonate with and actually have a conversation. Because an email, I feel like there's some distance there when you're literally in the same room. So I hope y'all will come back every month and start to build organic and authentic relationships with each other, because that is my mission with Wild Mama, is to create healing and wholeness for us through reconnection to ourselves, reconnection to each other, and reconnection to the land. Okay? So please reconnect.
Next time you come, you guys are welcome to bring photographs of your own mama ancestors. My mom and my grandmother are up there, but if there are mothers that you would like to hold space who have transitioned to their next plane of adventure and who are also present, feel free to bring pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yes, so yeah, let's move, let's dance, let's turn the lights down low, let's eat, let's group. Oh, yes. Next year, every second Thursday of the month is booked right here, okay? So we will be here, same time, same kind of structure, centering a different conversation. So I'm hoping to potentially in the next month have an elder come and talk about mothering through the generations, mothering through the ages, okay? So we're gonna highlight y'all. Okay.